After the smashing success of the First Avenger, the Captain is back at it in the Winter Soldier. This time, he's got some old friends and new enemies. Adjusting to the 21st century isn't easy for our hero, especially when part of it involves fighting off assassins and uncovering government conspiracies. I'm Benny with Cinematica, and today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Cap's second solo flick. Are you a die-hard fan? Just wondering what all the fuss is about? Well, we've got something for everyone as we count down the 107 facts you should know about Captain America Winter Soldier. Let's get started. Number 1. Winter Soldier is based on the 2005 comic by Ed Brubaker and focuses on Captain America going head-to-head with friend-turned-enemy Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier. Number 2. Writing for the film began around the time of the release of the first Captain America movie. Screenwriters Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely wanted to make a different kind of Captain America film this time around. Number 3. The film was directed by Joe and Anthony Russo. They were specifically chosen for the job by Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige. Number 4. After choosing the Russo brothers to direct, F. Gary Gray, who directed the Italian Job, and George Nolfi, who directed The Adjustment Bureau, were also considered. Number 5. The Russo brothers were always interested in directing big action films, but before this they were mostly known for directing comedy television shows such as Community and Arrested Development. Number 6. The Russo brothers wanted to make a slightly darker themed movie and were influenced by movies from the 70s, including The French Connection. Number 7. The Russo brothers are no strangers to the Marvel superheroes. Joe Russo in particular is a longtime fan of comic books and began collecting at the age of 10. Number 8. In order to get a better understanding of Captain America and the other characters in the film, the Russo brothers worked with Ed Brubaker, the comics writer, on the story before beginning production on the film. Number 9. The Winter Soldier is the 9th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, though obviously far from the last. Number 10. The film almost dropped the name Winter Soldier entirely when producers were worried that it might give too much of the story away. The Russos fought for the title though, stating, "We've always said there isn't much of a surprise to the audience, it's a surprise for Captain America. It's a crucial moment in the movie for him as a character." Number 11. Production on the film began even before the release of Iron Man 3. Marvel doesn't waste time, folks. Number 12. To avoid any information about the film being leaked during production, the cast and crew used the working title Freezer Burn. Number 13. Winter Soldier technically takes place in Phase 2 of the Marvel Universe. This means everything post-New York City attack in the first Avengers film. On a timeline, the movie takes place a year after the Avengers, before Avengers 2, and after both Thor 2 and Iron Man 3. Number 14. Chris Evans was excited about the creative change for Winter Soldier, stating that he felt limited in the previous incarnations. He said it's tricky because he's a Boy Scout. His main goal in life is to put his own interests last. He doesn't have a brooding side. He's not Bruce Wayne or Wolverine. Number 15. Hawkeye was very close to being included in the film, but the writers thought that there were too many characters already. A scene was written and shot that mentioned the Avenger and his whereabouts, but it was ultimately cut from the film. Number 16. There is a small nod to Hawkeye in the form of a small arrow necklace worn by Natasha Romanoff. This idea came straight from the character's actress, Scarlett Johansson. Number 17. Despite being a Captain America film, there are many sub-stories focusing on the superhero agency S.H.I.E.L.D., earning the film the nickname Avengers 1.5. Number 18. The original draft of the film relied very heavily on flashbacks to tell the story, but the screenwriters found this to be very difficult to follow. In the end, they decided to keep 98% of the film in the present day, while adding only a few flashbacks when really needed. Number 19. The screenwriters purposefully wrote the film in a way that could be enjoyed by someone even if they hadn't seen the previous Captain America or Avengers films. Number 20. The Winter Soldier, who much of this film is focused on, made his first appearance in Captain America Volume 5, Number 1 in 2005. Number 21. The Winter Soldier in this film is also known as Bucky Barnes in the comics, though his backstory is very different from the films. Bucky's origins in the comics have him as a young teenager who witnessed Captain America changing into his costume. Wanting to protect his identity, Captain America allowed the young boy to become his sidekick. Number 22. Another liberty taken by the film was naming the character Bucky Barnes. In the comic, Bucky is an alias, not the sidekick's real name. It's actually James Buchanan, and Captain America nicknames him Bucky after an old friend. Bucky would eventually be killed off before being resurrected and turned into the Winter Soldier. Number 23. The comic Winter Soldier gets its name from a quote by Thomas Paine where he mentions summer soldiers or soldiers who quit things when they get tough. The implication is that a Winter Soldier never quits no matter what. Number 24. Sebastian Stan plays the role of Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. Stan didn't know that he was being brought back to play the role until he was called by a friend from Comic-Con who saw Marvel announce the film. Surprise! Number 25. To prepare for his role, Stan went through 5 months of training and historical research on the Cold War, KGB, brainwashing, and more. Number 26. He also apparently walked around practicing using a plastic knife so that his movements would feel more natural when acting. Number 27. Despite being the title of the film, the Winter Soldier isn't introduced until 32 minutes into the film. Number 28. Agent 13, or Sharon Carter, shares the same last name as Captain America's previous love interest, Peggy Carter. In the comics, the two are related, usually sisters or aunt and niece. Any kind of blood relationship between the characters was never defined in the film. Number 29, many actresses were considered for the role of Agent 13, including Anna Kendrick, Felicity Jones, and Alison Brie, just to name a few. Number 30, Alexander Pierce is played by acting legend Robert Redford. Redford is partially responsible for starting the Sundance Film Festival in Utah, where a lot of filmmakers get their start, including Joe and Anthony Russo. Number 31, the Winter Soldier is also heavily inspired by the film 3 Days of Condor, which starred none other than Robert Redford himself. Number 32, one of the reasons that Redford took on the role was because his grandchildren are huge fans of the Marvel films, and he was excited for them to see him in one. Number 33, when Alexander Pierce opens his fridge, you can see a jar of Newman's Own Sauce, the company founded by Paul Newman. Newman and Redford were friends and partners in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Number 34, the picture of Pierce from 1992 used in the film is actually a movie still of Redford's character from the 1992 movie Sneakers. Number 35, in Steve Rogers' apartment there is a copy of the book All the President's Men. Redford produced and starred in the movie adaptation of this book. Life is all about connections, guys. Number 36, Anthony Mackie reportedly really wanted to play a Marvel comic book character and emailed the studio several times in hopes of landing a character. Luckily, Kevin Feige eventually responded and offered him the role of Falcon. Number 37, the directors made the decision to shoot much of the film using longer lenses with less depth of field, which blurs the background a bit. The directors described it as more of a Scott Brothers look. Number 38, much of the film was also shot handheld to get a much more aggressive and gritty feel to the movie, what they described as a visceral action and hardcore realism. Number 39, all in all, shooting took approximately 76 days on set to film. Number 40, the screenwriters were on set every day of shooting in case anything had to be rewritten, but the script was left largely untouched from the original production copy. Number 41, when asked why none of the other Avengers make appearances to help Cap, the screenwriters explained the film's story takes place over the course of 3 days, and no other superheroes had time to respond and rush into his aid. Number 42, the fight scene with Captain America in the elevator took 7 days to film and was the first fight scene filmed for the movie. Number 43, one thing the Russo brothers insisted was focusing on practical effects and intense stunt work. The directors even asked all of the actors to train for their parts so they could do more in their own action scenes. Number 44, Chris Evans, who plays Captain America, went so far as to take several weeks of gymnastic classes to prepare for his role in the movie. Tumble like a champ, Cap. Number 45, Evans also underwent tons of mixed martial arts training for the film. Some fighting styles used include karate, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and boxing. The filmmakers thought it would be important to use modern fighting styles to help bring the hero into the modern day. Number 46, the filmmakers also wanted to use this film to explore Captain America using his shield as a much more offensive weapon rather than being defensive. The shield was given 2 handles so that it could easily be used in an Eastern fighting style. Number 47, Evans and Johansson are good friends in real life. This film marked the 4th film that the two have worked on together, also clearly not the last. Number 48, the two apparently wrote their own dialogue for many of the scenes that they shared, making the chemistry between them more natural on screen. Evans said that his favorite moments were the scenes that he shared with Johansson. Aww. Number 49, the Falcon, who makes his movie debut in this film, made his first appearance in the comics in Captain America number 117 in 1969. He was mainstream comics' first African-American superhero. Number 50, the original Falcon of the comics had the power to communicate with birds. The films and the Ultimates comics that the films drew inspirations from have done away with this superpower entirely. Number 51, Mackie would always yell "cut the check" anytime he nailed anything in a scene. I think I'll try that at work next time whenever I do something well. Number 52, Mackie had a ton of wire work flying around as Falcon. Some of the scenes had him 70 feet in the air and landing on a spot no bigger than a tape mark. These aerial stunts were even more impressive once you discover that Mackie was deathly afraid of heights. Number 53, Mackie admits jokingly that he tried to sneak in a subtle plot point that the Falcon was in love with Black Widow. He says he didn't ask permission to do it and never told Johansson what he was going for. Number 54, in an interview, Mackie revealed that he was slightly disappointed in the Falcon's new costume. He was hoping for the red spandex that the hero wears in the comics. Number 55, Falcon's costume consists of several straps, buckles, and webbings that can be found in common military gear. It does take Mackie 25 minutes to fully don the outfit though. Number 56, Joe and Anthony Russo have gone on record stating that they hate Falcon's red costume and Pet Falcon, but Mackie insisted that he would get them in his next appearance. Number 57, there was a brief reveal of Captain America's list of things that he needs to catch up on that he missed while being a popsicle. The list actually changed depending on which country you saw the movie in. Number 58, in the US, the alternate scene includes I Love Lucy and Steve Jobs. In the UK, it has the Beatles and Sean Connery. Connery. In Australia, it has Steve Irwin in Tim Tams. Italy has Roberto Benigni. France has Daft Punk in The Fifth Element. Russia has Yuri Gagarin. South Korea has the movie Old Boy, and Mexico has Shakira, among others. Number 59. Know what made the list for all of the countries? Star Wars and Star Trek, probably because they starred fellow Avengers actors Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Hemsworth. Number 60. The scenes that take place on the ship Lemurian Star were filmed on the real-life vessel Sea Launch Commander, which is docked in Long Beach, California. The tight spaces provided extra challenges for the fight choreographers, but the directors just couldn't pass up on the chance to film on an existing vessel. Number 61. In the film, there is a brief mention of a person of interest named Stephen Strange.
Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, anyone who's a threat.
This is the name of another Marvel superhero, Doctor Strange, who's receiving his own movie in the near future starring Benedict Cumberbatch. Number 62. There is also a mention of a man from Cairo, Egypt in this line, which could be a nod to Marvel's Moon Knight. Number 63. Also, there is a mention of a high school kid that could prove to be a problem for S.H.I.E.L.D., a reference to Spider-Man. Spider-Man is set to make an appearance in the upcoming Captain America Civil War movie. Number 64. The chase scene at the beginning of the film was supposed to take place around Washington, D.C., but signs found along the side road read US 6, US 322. These highways exist near Cleveland, not D.C. Number 65. That's because they actually filmed the scene in Cleveland. That action sequence required the freeway outside of Cleveland to be shut down completely for 2 weeks. Number 66. In the Hydra base, we can see photos of the three S.H.I.E.L.D. founders, Colonel Chester Phillips, Peggy Carter, and Howard Stark, played by Tommy Lee Jones, Haley Atwell, and Dominic Cooper in the first Captain America movie. Number 67. You would think that Winter Soldier could do some serious damage with that metal arm of his, but he only lands 9 hits on Captain America with it throughout the film, 7 of which Captain let him have. Number 68. When on set, the chairs for the actors wouldn't be labeled by the actors' names. Instead, they were identified by the names of the characters that they played. For example, Evan's chair read Steve Rogers. Number 69. When Nick Fury tells a story of how his grandfather was an elevator operator, it relates to real life for the actor, Samuel L. Jackson, whose grandfather really was an elevator operator. Number 70. Nick Fury's grave reads, "The path of the righteous man," Ezekiel 25:17. This is in reference to the iconic line Jackson would say as his character, Jules Winfield, in Pulp Fiction. Number 71. When Black Widow boots up the supercomputer and asks, "Shall we play a game?" This references the 1983 sci-fi movie War Games. Number 72. Feige said that every Marvel Phase 2 movie includes an homage to Star Wars by having a character lose an arm or a hand. In Winter Soldier, we see that happens to Bucky after he fell off the train in the First Avenger. And yeah, there goes his arm. At least he got a cooler one, right? Number 73. When Captain America jumps out of the plane without a parachute, it's a reference to the near-identical scene from the Ultimates comic story showing him without a parachute in World War II. Number 74. Captain America is also seen sporting a different suit than the previous film. The suit is the super soldier costume used in the Secret Avengers storyline and meant to show a darker side to Captain for his role in S.H.I.E.L.D. Number 75. The suit is also used as another form of storytelling. Captain America has to struggle with the realities of the time, and the colors begin to fade. Number 76. This is the first film involving Steve Rogers in which he doesn't touch a firearm. Number 77. Nick Fury's outfit in his last scene of the movie is the exact same outfit that he wears in the season 1 finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Number 78. The name on Falcon's wings, Exo-7, is a reference to Exocet, a flying fish with shiny wings. Number 79. One of the names on the list of targets for the helicarrier is the Baxter Building, which is the home to yet another group of Marvel superheroes, the Fantastic Four. Number 80. There were originally plans to show Hydra's supercomputer downloading Zola's brain into a robot body, but it was ultimately cut from the film. This event would mirror the comics, and there would even be hints to it in the previous Captain America film. Number 81. Black Widow mentions Operation Paperclip at one point, calling it a S.H.I.E.L.D. operation. In reality, it was a large operation conducted by the American government in which hundreds of Nazi scientists were recruited. One of the most famous scientists was Werner von Braun, who designed the V-2, but went on to make the Saturn V rocket for the Apollo program. Number 82. The Captain America display probably would have been more at home in the National Museum of American History, no? Number 83. There were also several other landmarks from Washington, D.C. present in the film, such as the Jefferson Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, the Capitol Building, the National Mall, and the DuPont Circle. The Theodore Roosevelt Bridge also appears in the film, which was shut down for the first time ever for a film production. Number 84. Because the filming took place in D.C., large crowds of people would gather to watch the film being made. Evans has said meeting with people in the crowds has been one of his favorite parts about filming in the city. Number 85. When Nick Fury is under fire, he gets a chance to escape after a yellow Penske truck crashes into his attackers. Later in the film, Agent Sitwell is hit by a yellow Penske truck. The Russo brothers have confirmed that the two trucks are the same, and possibly hinting at the driver being another Marvel character, Frank Castle, aka the Punisher. Number 86. There are several cameos throughout the film, and we're going to run some of them down for you. One instance is a voiceover on one of the exhibits in the museum that was actually done by actor Gary Sinise. Number 87, Joss Whedon, director of the Avengers films, makes a brief cameo in the escalator in the museum. Number 88, the museum hosts yet another cameo in the form of its security guard, played by none other than Stan Lee. Number 89, Joe Russo makes a brief appearance on screen as the doctor that came to Black Widow's aid in Nick Fury's underground cave. Number 90, Danny Pudi, who played Abed Nadir on Community, makes a brief cameo in the film as a SHIELD technician. Number 91, there is yet another cameo in the scene where the Winter Soldier is being brainwashed. The goatee technician is Ed Brubaker, writer of the Winter Soldier comic series. Number 92, the character Senator Stern makes a second appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in this film, his first appearance being in Iron Man 2. The revelation that he was in league with Hydra also proves that it was the remnants of Red Skull's forces that were after Iron Man in that film. Number 93, the Marvel character Batroc the Leaper makes an appearance in this film, played by former UFC welterweight champion George St. Pierre. Number 94, the tower shown with an A on it is not Stark Tower. Some fans thought the A stood for Anthony, aka Tony, but it was actually the fans' first look at the Avengers Tower. Number 95, there is a brief mention of something called Department H. Fans of the X-Men series may recognize this as the organization that experimented on Mutant Wolverine and is also responsible for the Marvel team Alpha Flight. Number 96, the scene where Steve learns what happened to his commandos and Peggy Carter was originally meant to be included in the first Avengers movies. In fact, there is over 30 minutes of deleted scenes from the Avengers revolving around Captain America, many of which were repurposed for the Winter Soldier. Number 97, at the end of the film, Brock Rumlow's body can be seen among the rubble sporting cross straps. It is widely thought that he will make a reappearance as Crossbones, a henchman of Red Skull. Number 98, potential spoilers about the comics and possible upcoming movie plots. In the Captain America comics, Steve Rogers actually dies in a plot involving Red Skull, and the Winter Soldier takes his place to carry on his will. Number 99, there is some slight evidence that might suggest that the movies may follow this plot, such as when the Winter Soldier catches and then wields the shield. Number 100, further evidence is that Evans only has a 6-movie contract with Marvel, presumably Captain America 1 through 3 and the 3 Avengers titles. Stan Sebastian, however, has 9 films in his contract. Number 101, this was the first Marvel movie to contain 2 after-credit scenes. The sequences reveal the twins Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, who make their first official debut in the next Avengers movie, Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 102, Joe Russo is a fan of the YouTube series Honest Trailers. While working on the movie, the brothers tried to honest trailer-proof the movie so that the logic of the movie was as solid as possible, unspoofable if you will. Number 103, despite the obvious American themes in the film, it performed exceptionally well overseas, most notably in the UK, Mexico, South Korea, and China. Number 104, the film earned over $700 million, making it the 9th most successful superhero title of all time. Number 105, due to the success of the film, the Russo brothers were invited back to work on the film's sequel, Captain America Civil War, and were signed onto the project 3 months before the release of Winter Soldier. Number 106, Chris Evans grew up outside of Boston and dreamed of being a painter or animator. In fact, he only started reading Marvel Comics after getting the role in the films. Number 107, also in the Winter Soldier, we learned that Hydra was responsible for Howard Stark's death. The rumor mill has been churning that Bucky is the one who killed him, setting up an even more emotional battle between Iron Man and Captain America in Civil War. Thanks for watching 107 facts that you should know about Captain America Winter Soldier. What was your favorite scene in the movie? Sound off in the comments, and if you liked this video, be sure to check out our other 107 facts videos by clicking the annotations or the links in the descriptions. And don't forget about me, if you want to get more comic book dramatic reading goodness, check out my channel, Comicstorian, where we take all of your favorite comic books and we recap them in a dramatic storytelling manner. And if you like anything more about movies or TV, subscribe to Cinematica, where we help you watch smarter.